Hello, loyal Patreons. Thank you so much for contributing to Enchantment of Eternity. As always, I'm here with my patron-only video. So, as I promised before last time, I am moving on to the topic of the top 10 most overrated movies of all time and my top 10 most underrated movies of all time. I think I mentioned this last time, but this is something I had originally been planning to do on my channel proper for years, literally years. I think ever since I started this channel. What has it been, like 5 years now or something? No, it couldn't have been that long. However long it's been, this was always like from the get-go one of my ideas, but every time it came time to do this idea, I just got off-put because I knew I'd get bombarded by tons of comments, people like hating on me, arguing with me. No, don't get me wrong. I get that a lot, and I just delete it and not worry about it. It doesn't affect me. But I knew it was going to be particularly bad with this one, and I just didn't want to invite that. I just didn't feel like it. I mean, I kept thinking, like, what's the point if I know all of it's going to do is piss people off? But that being said, like, I have seen a lot of other like top 10 overrated movies videos on YouTube, and it pissed me off. So I was like, you guys are wrong. I'm going to tell you what's really overrated. So I've always had this desire to do it, but never really the inclination to actually put it out there because so hey, compromise, put it out for you Patreon guys. Hopefully you like me enough to not get too pissed at me and have much broad opinions like this. You know, some of these, I already talked about some of these directors, and some of them I mentioned like before on the internet, and I got comments like people saying, well, you know, if you want to be a real film buff, you have to admit that Stanley Kubrick is one of the best directors of all time. And I guess I don't want to be a real film buff then, because I'm not going to mold my opinion to the popular or to the trendy hipster opinion so I can be considered a film buff and join their little club. I got my own goddamn opinion, goddammit, and I'm not going to change it just for it to fit with popular opinion. Anyway, the whole point, and see the thing with overrated, because I did an overrated TV shows video, and I didn't get as much hate as I was worried it would, so I thought maybe the movies would be the same thing, but I think the movies is inviting more. Especially, like, literally my number one most overrated movies, literally, like, no exaggeration, people have received death threats for bad-mouthing this movie on the internet. So, yeah. Not that I'm afraid of that, it's just, you know, because I have been vocal about this on my channel before. But it's just like, because the whole concept of doing an overrated list is you're basically, by admission, by the nature of the whole concept of something being overrated, you're admitting that it's well-liked, that it's popular, that it's good, but you don't agree with that popular opinion. So you're saying, you're automatically coming from the position that you're going to tell everybody, or not everybody, but the majority, that they're wrong. And that is kind of inviting conflict. But here we go. I'm going to do it anyway, just for you guys. So thank you so much for supporting my channel. I hopefully this doesn't upset you and you're all good with it. And you just like to hear me rant and talk about this sort of thing. So yeah, let's get into top 10 most overrated movies of all time. From my opinion, of course, obviously. So, this video I'll cover my number 10 through my number 7, and next month I'll do number 6 to number 4, and the month after number 3 through number 1, and then I'm going to move on to my top 10 most underrated movies, which is a lot less controversial, but a lot more pretentious sounding, because it's mostly films people never heard of, and oh, how come you don't like this film better? But anyway, yeah, let's get to my top 10 most overrated movies. Number 10, There Will Be Blood. There Will Be Snoozing. and pillows and blankets because I'm falling asleep because this movie's boring. I'm sorry, I don't get why people like this movie so much. I mean, okay, it's got good acting, but there has to be more to a movie than good acting. I mean, you're saying, oh, I just drink your milkshake. I mean, okay, that's cool, but where's the plot? Where's the story? It's just some boring guy being boring. This movie's boring. And it's done by director Paul Thomas Anderson, and I used to love him. In fact, when I did my top 10 directors, I was very close to putting him on it. And I think at one point I did have him on my top 10 because I love his earlier works. I love Punch Drunk Love, Boogie Nights, and Magnolia. All amazing films, but those were like in the 90s, early 2000s. In the mid 2000s, he did this, I think 2005. And ever since then, his movies have not been good. Like, most recently, he did the, what's it called? The Phantom Thread. My God! I hated that movie. I hated it. So I think he's turned into, once he got into this, like, he met Daniel Day-Lewis, which is, again, amazing actor. But they got together and did these boring movies because everyone loved this. Everyone will tell you There Will Be Blood is one of the best movies of all time, and it's amazing. And I really think it's just dumb. Anyway, getting to my number 9 most overrated movie, and that is The Sixth Sense. Every time I say that this movie's overrated, someone's like, well, you can't tell me you didn't see that twist coming. Don't tell me you didn't see the twist coming. You didn't see that twist coming. Don't tell me you saw it coming. And I'm like, yeah, okay, twist was good. It's probably one of the best twists I've ever seen. But that's all there is to the fucking movie. And I'm sorry, you need more to make a movie good than a fucking good twist. You need good characters, interesting story, interesting storyline, interesting characters, more intrigues. You know, this movie had none of that. These characters were boring. The movie was boring. The pace was boring. It was too slow. It was uninteresting. It was not near. I mean, I don't think this movie sucked or anything. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, I remember it came out the same year as Fight Club, and I'm one of the few people who saw Fight Club in the movie theater, and I loved it to begin with. The rest of the world took a little while to catch up with me. Sorry, I'm sorry, that sounded super hipster, but who cares? Anyway, yeah. So I was saying in 1999 that this Sixth Sense is overrated. If you want a movie with a good twist that actually has a good story, good characters, and is awesome, Fight Club. Fight Club is like a billion times better, and yet Fight Club was a box office bomb. Nobody appreciated it at the time. As I said, since later people have appreciated it. But everyone was looking towards The Sixth Sense, which was nominated for Best Picture, and it got all sorts of box office. I'm like, this movie sucks. Fight Club is way better. Anyway. And it's also a little trivia. I used to get into arguments with my own brother, whom you know as Apkin Tomko, about this, who thought I was being too harsh on The Sixth Sense. And I think I don't know if he even saw Fight Club at that time anyway. But anyway, regardless. Number 8, the most overrated. Now this actually, surprisingly, is a movie that a lot of people will actually agree with me with. And if I put this out there, it won't piss people off, and they'll be, yes. So many people will say it is overrated, and so that almost made me not put it on an overrated list, because if a large majority of people agree and can see this movie's overrated, then by definition does that mean it's not overrated anymore? I don't know. Now I'm overthinking things, so I put it on here anyway, and that's Avatar. Avatar is, I guess you could still say it's overrated because they're making like 5 sequels for it. Although a lot of people are being like, why? We don't want to see 5 Avatar sequels. And the fact that it's like one of the biggest moneymakers of all time. It was nominated for an Oscar. So even though like most people today in modern culture will say this movie's not that great and it's overrated, I still would qualify it as overrated because it's still got those accolades. It's still like they studio thinks they can bank a entire franchise off of this one movie, which is just a rehash of Pocahontas or Ferngully or so many others. I mean, it was okay. As I said, I didn't hate this movie. It's funny because I did this movie discussion with Don, Darren, and Josh recently, and Josh and Darren loved this movie and they were defending it, and Don was totally trashing it. And I don't know if I was as harsh on this movie as Don, but I think I side a bit more with Don on this one. And I guess the fact that Darren and Josh liked it proves that it is still overrated. Anyway, getting to my number 7. Anyone familiar with my channel will not be the least bit surprised. I know Cardinal Doomsday, you're not going to be shocked by hearing this one. Gladiator. Gladiator. This movie sucks. I hate this movie. It won Best Oscar. I think it's the least deserving, one of the least deserving movies. What's the other one? What's the one about the? Oh, I can't remember now. The one about the game show in India. That one didn't deserve the Oscar either. It really did not. But this one, I think, to me, is overrated even more because it's like, I remember when it first came out. Like, I was married at the time, and my wife's at the time's mother saw this movie, loved it, say, you guys have to go see it. So we both went and saw it, and we were both like, she was really wrong about that one. That movie was not good. And then afterwards, it got like all these accolades, and you know, people today still like quote it, "Are you not entertained?" and talk about it like it's a classic movie. It's really stupid. It's boring. It's too slow paced. It doesn't go anywhere. The characters are uninteresting. I hate movies like this where the plot, you see this evil villain acting all evil, and there's no complexity to it. You just see that he's being evil and he's doing the same thing, and then I don't know. I just do not like this movie at all. Anyway, I think that's enough of me trashing beloved movies for now. Wait till next month where I'll do so even more and get into more movies that are even more beloved. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for contributing to the channel. Hopefully I didn't off-put any of you by this series, but I do appreciate you listening to my thoughts, and I definitely appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.